Hey guys, it's Coach Bricks,
Coach James.
the Game Changers. Hey, we want to talk about work ethic and dedication, and I think it's a topic that probably every coach talks about.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And everybody talks about it. It's unfortunate that most people don't understand what it takes to get to that level because we're losing sight of how we should be as humans. And I talk about this often, but because of technology, and everybody thinks technology is great, and I think it has a small place. My opinion, it's a small place. Most people say a bigger place, but it has a small place in what we do, especially as athletes and as human beings. Is taken away from a lot of the dedication and the work ethic that is required because you don't need as much. So we look at things as, wow, look at this technology that has helped me get from point A to point B, or tell me how much force I'm placing ground. Instead of me realizing it and understanding it myself and what kind of work I need to put in, we don't have that anymore. Now people will say, well, the technology tells you how many reps to do, how much this, how much you're behind. That's great and all, but I should be able to understand my body and be able to do this. And that's where work ethic and dedication dedication come in. So we deal with a lot of athletes. Okay, I've been doing this for over 20-some years now. What do you see right now with the athletes that we have coming in, and just athletes in general, when it comes to work ethic and dedication?
So you see it's a very wide discrepancy where you have the ones that we'll call our dedicated group, and then you have the ones that are just kind of going through the motions, and you have a couple kind of sprinkled through the middle that are kind of like, some days they might come in and you're like, oh wow, they actually worked their butts off today, and then they might come in tomorrow and they're like, I'm just going to kind of take today off. Where we have our policy where no phones, and there's a handful of athletes, they walk right in, they don't even say a word to you, they will sit their phone off to the side and you don't have to ask them or do anything. And then you have another, on the opposite side, you'll have some, they can be doing an exercise. If they could probably, if you could give them a dumbbell to hold and they could hold their phone in their other hand, they would probably do their exercise while holding their phone, watching whatever they are on their phone. Versus you have the other guy who's on the edge of the turf, hands on his knees, dying because he's been working his butt off the entire time and he hasn't touched his phone once.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing where you see, and we try and explain to these athletes, and I know I have these conversations, I get heated on it because I tell them, I'm like, you're not here to work out. If you want to play varsity soccer, for some people that got cut, I'm like, you want to play varsity sports. You're here because you didn't make that team. You're here to work. You're not here to be on your phone. And I remind them, and the other thing I always tell them, I'm like, are you the one paying to come in here? They're like, well, no. I'm like, exactly. Your parents are paying you to come in here, not you. So you're not, if it was you, it's your own money. You can do whatever the heck you want with your money. But if you look at it, you're wasting your parents' money that they want you to come in here and make a certain goal, reach a certain level, and then you're not putting in the effort that they maybe think you are. So you go home and they're like, oh, how was your workout? That was good. I worked pretty hard today. Where if they were to come ask me and I'm like, they maybe worked hard for 5 minutes out of the hour that they're here. The other 45, they were on their phone. I'm like, I tell them, we can give you all the tools. We say this all the time. We can give you all the tools, but it is up to you on how hard you push yourself. I can tell you, I can give you every key to success to reach that level. But if you aren't going to use that and be able to motivate yourself and hold yourself accountable, then there's only so much that I can do at that point.
Yep. No, and I think you have it right because the phone thing is a big thing. That's because of technology. Kids are addicted to phones, and whether parents want to admit it or not, kids want to admit it, it's an addiction. Okay, it's just like smoking back when in the 80s. Everybody in the 70s and 80s, everybody was smoking. It's like people who drink. It's just what it is. So you have to break that addiction. And I always ask a kid, and I know you say it too, James, is would you take that phone during the game with you, put it in your pocket? And everybody says no, and they look at you like you're crazy. I said, then you don't need to bring it into the workout. You don't have to have it every second of the day. First of all, the phone's bad, not just for the addiction part, but because all the radiation that's being emitted off it. So get away from it for at least a little bit. And even you're inundated with radiation all the time because you sit in schools and have Wi-Fi and all this other kind of crap going on. So get the phone away. So when you come in or you're doing something that you want to better yourself because you want to be a great athlete, you want to start, you want to make the team, get that away, because that's a dedication, that's a work ethic that it takes. Work ethic is just not the physical part, it's also getting away from the things that are distracting me, that are making me weaker, that are not making me better. And the phone is one of them, okay? That's just one example. But work ethic goes into, what are you motivated towards? So I use James' example all the time with a lot of people. I said, James right now is getting ready for a competition. During that time, James is completely focused on that goal of what he needs to do. So for the last 6 to 8, 9 months, James had a goal. He's a focus, right? When you don't have sight of goals, you lose work ethic and you lose dedication. It's just a fact, okay? That's why I'm always constantly changing my goal. What's my goal? So I constantly keep myself, my own self motivated, okay? So I have the dedication and work ethic I need. But a lot of people get to a certain point that they don't have that anymore. Okay, and that's one of the biggest problems is you got to keep changing. You got to keep raising that level up. What's the next goal? What's the next thing I want to do? What's that? So if I'm an athlete and I want to make varsity because I got cut, then I got to put everything down and I got to focus just on that. I got to be ready to go, and I got to work as hard as I possibly can. Now, I'm not saying you got to throw up. I'm not saying you got to be drenched that you can't move. That's not it at all. It doesn't mean it's a great workout. That just means you got tired. Okay, so you got to understand the processes of working out, okay, and the work ethic and the dedication. And a lot of people don't have dedication. You don't have dedication to your schoolwork. You don't have dedication to this. You don't have dedication. There's a reason, okay? You have to find, what am I dedicated towards? I want to dedicate myself to be the best person I possibly can be, whatever that athletic is. I sometimes tell the kids, I played college basketball and college soccer. If you would have seen me in high school, probably outside of soccer, I probably could have played in college, which I did. I should have never played college basketball, but I just dedicated myself to get better so I could play in college. There were many more better people on the high school team than I was. They never played, but I dedicated myself to do those things. Same thing, I had a work ethic. I would not let anybody outwork me, okay? Because I knew my limitations. Everybody else on the team in college was better than me, all right? Basketball was, but they were not gonna outwork me. And that's what you gotta have. You gotta have an internal motivation. You gotta have an internal clock that says, I wanna be the best version of myself I possibly can be. At age 18, at age 19, at age 20, each year, you want to do that. Each season, you got to want to do that. Right now, I want to be the best version of myself at age 49, okay? That's what I want to be, or age 50, or age 51. That's what I want to be. I want to constantly keep pushing myself to be the best, and we lose sight of that, and even younger kids are starting to lose sight of that at a younger age now because they're inundated with so many different things. So find that work ethic, find that dedication, and watch what you accomplish. It's not just going to set you up now, it's going to set you up for life. Listen, I tell every kid this, you should be getting the top level job. And they all look at me and say, what do you mean? I'm like, this society right now is so soft and so easy to manipulate, okay? And so easy to outwork, that if you work hard, somebody's going to see that and you're going to get the job you want. That's all you got to do. But you got to be willing to put the work in. You got to be willing to dedicate yourself to whatever you have to do and work hard so it pays off. And somebody's going to see that and they're going to say, yeah, you're not the most talented, but you're the hardest worker. I'm taking you as my employee, and boom, and you're going to get the job you want. Or if you start your own company or whatever you do. So that's what you got to start thinking differently about how things go. But James is exactly right. Dedication, work ethic, huge parts of everyday life as well as an athlete, and that's what we need to do. So get on the work ethic, improve that dedication, and watch what you get on. All right, this is Coach Briggs.
Coach James.
The Game Changers.